What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out one of the most affordable tablet and keyboard combos available on Amazon. So the one that I have today is called the TangoTab, and this is also the latest version of this tablet. So this one has 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of internal storage, it runs Android 10 and it has a newer quad-core MediaTek CPU. Now, when you buy one of these budget-friendly tablets, you basically have to limit your expectations a bit because you're not gonna get the same performance that you'd get from an iPad, for example. But let's keep in mind that an iPad is much more expensive as well. So if you check the score on the Antutu benchmark for this tablet, you get a score of just under 100,000. And you already know there are some limitations with a score like that, but you can still do a lot with a tablet like this with a score like that. But we're gonna talk about all that throughout this video. So in the box you're gonna find the tablet itself, you're also gonna find the keyboard, and you don't necessarily need to use them together at all times. But if you do wanna use them together, it's super simple to connect them together. So you just do this and that's about it. And then you can actually close it and open it just like you would with a laptop. So if you have something to type, then you'd plug in the keyboard. But if you just wanna watch a movie or something, you don't necessarily need that keyboard. Aside from that, you're gonna find the user manual, there is a power adapter and a couple of cables so you can actually charge the tablet. The tablet and the keyboard are made out of the same material. This is kind of like a rubberized plastic that feels very soft to touch, so it's not gonna get scratched that easily. And at the bottom of the keyboard we have 4 rubber feet, so whenever you have this on a desk, it's not gonna slide everywhere. Now, my only complaint about the keyboard and the tablet is the fact that it doesn't open enough. So this is the maximum opening angle, and I wish it would have been a bit wider, because whenever you have it like this, and if you're not sitting in the right spot, you kind of want to open it a bit more so you can see the screen a bit better. I guess that depends on your height, on your chair, on your table and so on, but for me, I wish it would have opened just a tiny bit more. And when this is closed, there are some rubber feet on the inside here that will basically protect the screen from the keyboard, so it's not gonna leave marks on the screen. Alright, so talking about the screen, this is a 10.1 inches IPS panel that has a resolution of just over 720p. So to give you an example, if you're watching a video on YouTube or something like that, the maximum resolution that you can select for that video is 720p. And this is definitely not the highest resolution out there. But again, you have to limit your expectations when you buy one of these budget-friendly tablets. As for the viewing angles, they're pretty good, so you can see the screen no matter how you look at it, but I wish the screen would get a bit brighter. If you're indoors, it's fine, but if you step outside, it is a bit difficult seeing the screen. But other than that, the screen does work pretty decent, and it also comes with a screen protector on, but I personally removed the screen protector because it was plastic and it was just getting scratched way too easily. The tablet has a bunch of ports on the side, so first of all it can take an SD card, so you can expand that 64 gigs of internal storage. We also have the charging port, we have a USB-A cable, so just in case you have like a hard drive that you want to connect to the tablet, we have an HDMI out, and you can basically connect this to an external monitor, so you can make the tablet and the keyboard more like a computer. We also have a micro USB charging port, and of course you can use that for data as well. We have a 3.5mm audio jack, and at the top we have the power button and the volume keys. The tablet also has dual speakers, so we have one on the side and one on the other side, but the speakers aren't the loudest speakers that I've heard. I mean, if you're in a quiet room like this, they do sound okay, and this is a quick example so you can hear how they sound in a quiet room basically. But if you're in a place that's pretty loud, the speakers don't seem to get loud enough. But again, if that's the case, you can always plug in some headphones, or if you have some Bluetooth headphones, you can connect to the tablet that way. The tablet also has a GPS unit inside. That's important mostly if you want to use like a navigation app on it. So for example, Google Maps works on it. You can save the maps onto the tablet, and then you don't actually need an internet connection to use the GPS. So it's a good thing that we have a GPS unit. Aside from that, we have a front-facing camera and a rear camera, so you could technically use the tablet to make video calls. Now, with the front-facing camera, the maximum resolution is 480p, so that's not the greatest resolution out there for a front-facing camera, because whenever you're gonna make a video call, you're just not gonna look that great. And 720p for the rear camera. So you can still make video calls, but obviously it's not gonna be the best quality in the world. This comes pre-installed with Android 10 right out of the box, and luckily we don't get a bunch of useless apps that come pre-installed. So we only have a few Microsoft apps and some Google apps, and that's about it. So definitely a good thing. Now, performance-wise, as I said at the beginning of the video, you're gonna have to lower your expectations a bit. So as long as you give it a couple of seconds for it to open apps, obviously it's gonna be slower than an iPad, but once an app is loaded, it does perform pretty decent. And I'm talking about Chrome, I'm talking about the YouTube app. So most apps will do okay as long as you're patient and you give them time to load. Now, gaming-wise, some games will do okay, but if you are trying to play some graphic-intensive games, those aren't gonna do great. So I tried Call of Duty, for example, and that's almost impossible to play. I mean, too many skipped frames, so I can actually play it. Maybe okay for a kid, but it really depends on your expectations and what you plan on doing with it. But basically, if you're hoping to buy this as a gaming machine, that's not gonna work out. But for anything else, it will do more than okay. As for battery life, I typically get between 4 to 7 hours of screen time, but it really depends what you do on the tablet. Obviously, if you're playing games, you're not gonna get that 7 hours, but if you're just reading the news or watching some videos, you can get towards 7 hours of screen time. It really depends what you do with it. I've also noticed that if you use it with a keyboard, it does use way more power. So I get a couple more hours if I'm using the tablet without the keyboard. So that's something that you wanna keep in mind as well. Charging this also takes pretty long, so you're looking at about 3 to 4 hours to charge this with a charger that comes in the box. So to quickly conclude this video, for the price this isn't bad. It's super nice that you get a keyboard, because this way if you have to type a long email, it's much easier to actually type an email on an actual keyboard than on the screen. You have a little trackpad, and if you need to select something in the browser and copy it and paste it into that email, it makes things much easier. So it's very nice to have a keyboard every now and then, because you don't necessarily need a keyboard at all times, but it's nice to have, and mostly for this price. So if you don't have crazy expectations, this will do great. But if you're expecting iPad performance at this price, that's not gonna happen and you're gonna be disappointed. So for the price, I think it makes sense and it does offer pretty decent value. Alright guys, thanks for watching and I will see you in the next one.